Hi, this is my review of the new Star Trek movie, Star Trek 11. I'd first like to say that I went into this movie desperately wanting to hate it. When I went to see it on opening night, I tried to keep an open mind. It took me two or three times of seeing this before I could form a solid opinion either way. Now, I'm a hardcore Trekkie who's loved the franchise for almost a decade. And I started with Voyager, worked my way back. I can safely say I've seen every episode of every series. Yes, including the dreaded animated series. But when I first saw the trailers for this movie, okay, I'm a big Confused Matthew fan. And if you guys have seen his reviews, you know how he feels about most Star Trek. But he did a short video just about the trailers, and I'd like to quote some of what he said. Star Trek is not an action franchise. Never in a Star Trek movie have I seen slow motion used to enhance an action scene. It's it's just I thought it was going to be a stupid summer action movie for the kids. And I understand what J.J. Abrams was trying to do. He wanted to reboot the franchise, and that was a great idea. But what the fuck was this? He copped out. He made it a parallel universe so he can do whatever the fuck he wants. Now, before I get into the plot, I should tell you, I'm probably going to need some help from an old buddy. Now, the opening scene is great. It has some action and it introduces some of the main characters. And what's great is we get to see Kirk's father, which we never got to see. Not to mention seeing his mother. So, it was like I said, I went into this movie wanting desperately to hate it, but I kept an open mind. J.J. Abrams, I think, did a good job in capturing the action and the exploration of what Star Trek was about. But, okay, I'll start with the villain, Nero. From my calculations, he was from post Next Generation movie era, which is after Voyager, after Deep Space Nine, after all that. So, he's first of all, he looks almost nothing like a Romulan. What the fuck was with those damn tattoos? It's not fucking Chakotay. The design of his ship, they said it was a mining ship, right? It looks nothing like standard Romulan design. It looks more like the replicators from Stargate. But putting aside the fact that Romulus getting destroyed screws up everything, the fact that he came back in time, even though it was by accident, just to destroy Spock, that was a little arrogant and self righteous, even for Romulan standards. But what they used to go back in time, this red matter, they never even explained what it is, where it came from, or the hell it can do one of two things: create a black hole, or destroy a, or send you back in time. They never explained how you do either of them. It's like a 50-50 chance. Either you'll destroy a planet or you go back in time. What the fuck? It's bullshit. As for the cast of, I like them. I like Eric Bana. I never was into the Hulk, but he was great. The only thing, the only good thing I can say about the casting, other than Eric Bana, is I loved Zachary Quinto. He looked exactly like a young Spock. some of the shots I saw, it was it was damn near uncanny. To quote Confused Matthew again. I liked Chris Pine. I think he was a pretty good young Kirk. But the fact that they brought in Leonard Nimoy only made it better. They, how should I say this? They kind of brought in a bigger audience by bringing in someone from the original cast. Otherwise, it would have been completely disconnected from the rest of Star Trek. Now, seeing Spock pre or post his last appearance on Star Trek, which was the Star Trek Next Generation two-parter Unification 1 and 2. It was great. And I understand why they couldn't bring Shatner back, because that would have just fucked things up even more. What I didn't like was, like I said before, they just were appealing to a young audience. They made almost no effort to connect to the hardcore Trek fans. I'll give them that. They put in a few Easter eggs, like mentioning Captain or Admiral Archer's Beagle, Porthos. That was cool. That was funny. And I did notice, first time I saw this movie, hell, multiple times I've seen this movie, there were very few people in the theater that got that joke. I only heard a handful of people laugh at that other than me. So that was cool. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't. Let's just say he only did half the work. Mr. Abrams, he basically did whatever he wanted. Like I said, he didn't do the research and the tireless effort it would have taken for it to fit into the regular timeline. What I really passionately hated about this movie was the fact that it was big scale, but it wasn't Star Trek. It didn't capture the Gene Roddenberry's dream about humanity, about exploration. It didn't have like these underlying morality points or stories. It was basically all about action. Take, for instance, the scene, the Kobayashi Maru. We didn't need to see that scene again. It was great in The Wrath of Khan. Great. Except for Kirstie Alley. But sitting there watching Kirk eat an apple instead of even pretending that he didn't rig the test, that's just plain stupid. We know what was going to happen in that scene. We knew exactly how the Kobayashi Maru plays out. We didn't need to see it. I admit, it was cool seeing him in the captain's chair for the first time in the movie. But that wasn't enough. We knew that he cheated. We knew how he did it. We even knew that he got a fucking commendation for original thinking for that shit. We already knew that. And they didn't even they gave the combination, but they didn't tell what the thing was for. But we already knew. I'll continue this in part 2.